Yo! Welcome into the Bare Necessities podcast. I'm your host, John Prisnowski. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Solo show this week, and I apologize if my voice is a little raspy, just coming off a bachelor party. I'm not 21 like I used to be, so appreciate you guys bearing with me here as we get the podcast up probably a day after when it's usually up. But solo show today, gave Jack the week off. I wanted to come on here and just get my overall thoughts about the Bears' victory over the Rams on Sunday, 24-18. Sloppy first half once again. Very typical Bears football, beating themselves. The defense kept the Bears within the game for the most part. Kyron Williams had a decent game for the Rams, but the Bears held Matthew Stafford and Kyron Williams in check, and the Bears, were essentially granted a gift, not having to go up against Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. And, I was telling everybody leading into Sunday's game, and I didn't want to jinx anything because, we're Bears fans and, God forbid we get ahead of ourselves on certain matchups. The Rams, they do not historically play well at Soldier Field. I feel like they're just one of those teams that have a hard time adjusting to Soldier Field's grass. They don't play there often, and whenever they do, I just feel like we have their number, and the trend continued on Sunday. And I want to talk a little bit about the game, kind of where my thoughts overall are. I'm feeling a little bit more calm and relaxed, although there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. By no means. I mean, this Bears team is still very much a work in progress, and Sunday was a terrific step forward. I feel like that second half, specifically the fourth quarter, it was an actual whole team effort, like where all three phases, offense, defense, and special teams, were able to be cohesive as one team and sealed the deal for the Bears to move to 2-2 on the year. But it took some time. I'm ready to watch the Bears get off to a good start right away on offense and lean on that defense and not have to try and claw their way back and win a ball game here. So I want to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. We got some tweets that blew our mind, and then, of course, we're going to get to the upcoming Sunday's game against the Carolina Panthers, another opponent the Bears have to win. There's another team, I think, in my opinion, although that it seems like they have a pulse with Andy Dalton now at the helm. Carolina is another team that does not play well historically at Soldier Field, and I'm going to knock on wood. Apologies for the knock there. If you heard that a little too loud for the audio, you might not have heard it at all. I'm not really sure, but we're going to get to the Panthers here. But first, I feel like finally we can start the show talking about the good and some of the good that clearly was on full display. DeAndre Swift. Here's a guy that a lot of people, coming into this week have already given up on. And boy, did he shut a lot of people up. 165 total yards against the Rams, 93 rushing yards, including that 36-yard touchdown run in the second half. That was a thing of beauty, hurdling a guy on the ground. I mean, Swift is meant to have the ball in space. And when you give number 4 the ball in space, he's going to rack up yards. That's what the Bears have to do with DeAndre Swift. He also had 72 receiving yards. Again, get your playmakers in space and let them get yardage. DeAndre Swift, welcome to Chicago, my friend. Jaquan Brisker, I mean, in my opinion, he was the MVP of the game. 12 tackles on defense, a sack, two tackles for a loss, and that interception to seal the game. You can argue he should have had 2 interceptions. He should have had one in the first half. Javon Dexter added a sack. I mean, he's got 4 or 5 sacks already this year. Javon Dexter's been an absolute unit. Montez Sweat also finally got home and had a strip sack on Stafford for that forced fumble. And then let's talk about special teams for a second. You want to talk about a unit. You want to talk about a weapon. Tory Taylor, ladies and gentlemen. And for anyone out there, any Bears fan that's still a little bitter about Tory Taylor getting selected in the 4th round, a punter in the 4th round, are you okay taking that back? Because I'm here to tell you that without Torrey Taylor, I don't know if the Bears were able to pin Matthew Stafford and that offense back and slow down that offensive attack. He had 5 punts. He averaged 55 yards per punt, 277 yards total through the air. 3 of those punts landed inside the 20, including a 66-yarder that everyone went literally apeshit over. I mean, like, when's the last time you went crazy over a punt? It's just an absolute weapon. It's been a treat to watch him. I feel like he's getting better week to week. Torrey Taylor, man, what a game! What a game! I'm so happy that he's on this team, and for everything the Bears do wrong, for everything the Bears, historically haven't gotten right, whether it's the offense, the quarterback position, this and that, yada yada. We've always had decent special teams. We've always had good kickers. We've always had a good running game. We've always had good linebackers. And like, finally, I feel like, like we have another really good punter, like we had Brad Maynard in our lifetime. We got our new guy now, number 19, Mr. Taylor. Have yourself a game. And then, to round out the good, I really thought Caleb had another solid game. And the biggest thing, guys, I really want everyone to take away from the game the other day. No, it wasn't pretty all the time, but Caleb is still getting better week to week, and we're going to continue to harp on this. We're going to continue to talk about this. He had a passer rating of 106.6, 17 for 23, 157 yards, and a touchdown, and Caleb did not turn the ball over. Yes, there was a strip sack fumble. We landed right back on it. But again, week 1 passer rating, 55.7. Week 2, 51. Week 3, 80.8, and then this week, 106.6. His completion percentage is still going up, and again, he did not turn the ball over, and I feel like that's a huge reason why the Bears won the game. He did not throw any costly interceptions. It was great. Again, this is still very much a work in progress team. I think the Rams spent a lot of, and I was telling a lot of my friends this. I think the Rams spent a lot of energy coming back. And that come from behind win against San Francisco the previous week, and for them to come to Chicago to play on that Soldier Field grass, like it's just a hard transition. I think this would have been a totally different game, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the Bears and that victory, but had this game been played at SoFi, I'm not sure the score would have been the same. Just want to throw that out there. So those are some good things that I noticed from the other day. And again, you're listening to the Bare Necessities podcast. I'm John Prisnowski. Solo show this week. Please check us out on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Give us a like, subscribe, comment. Also, please check out our YouTube channel. All is great, all is well. I appreciate all the support. And go check me out on TikTok, by the way. My last Matt Eberflus video blew up. I'm talking like 18,000 views blew up. I've never gotten that type of engagement before. So really been appreciating the support, really been appreciating the love. And thank you guys again for tuning in and listening to me talk about the Bears. So let's move on to the bad here. And we got the good, the bad, the ugly. Some tweets that blew our mind. And again, we're looking ahead towards Carolina this upcoming Sunday. So some things that I took away from the game, the bad. What's going on with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze's usage? I'm going to give Keenan Allen a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. He did have a couple catches, but he's just coming off that heel injury that he's been kind of nursing. It's very obvious that Caleb and DJ still really quite aren't on the same page yet. Yes, there was that awesome touchdown pass in the back of the end zone over the linebacker. I just find it odd, we haven't been able to get into a consistent rhythm, a consistent groove with DJ and also with Rome. I'm watching the tape, and it's not like the opponents we're facing, they're having their best corner, like their 2 best guys on Rome. Especially with Keenan back, Rome's gonna get open. I mean, they can't double any of these guys. We have guys on the perimeter. There needs to be some type of consistency, and I don't know who Caleb's go-to guy is. I mean, do you guys know? Do you think it's DJ? Do you think it's Rome? Do you think it's Keenan? I really don't know. If I had to take a guess right now, I think he's got something going on with Komet, but it's been kind of bizarre. And does anybody want to tell me where Tyler Scott is at? How are we going to know if Tyler Scott is a good receiver in this league, if we can't find him and get him the ball, DeAndre Carter has 7 catches this year. You know how many? You guys want to know how many catches Tyler Scott has? Big old goose egg. He's got 0. I want it to make sense. Is that on the offensive line, not blocking long enough? Is that on Waldron, not divvying up plays? I just want to know. Just something that just kind of has been bothering me. We have all these weapons, and it's like we still don't. I still don't think we truly know this Bears offense, like where it really can be one day. And I think we all are in agreement until they fix that offensive line. I don't think we're ever going to find out. So it's going to be a long year, and God bless anyone that has DJ Moore and Keenan Allen on your fantasy football team in Roma Dunze, because it's gonna be a roller coaster ride all year for all those guys, and just it's a lot of mouths, it's a lot of bodies to feed, and the consistency just quite isn't there yet. But moving on to my final thing that I think is just bad from this weekend. And I understand that this is national media and this is what people are doing now, but can we please, guys, just stop with the Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams debate? Like, it's growing stale already. Like, can't we live in a world where both franchises have good rookie quarterbacks and we can root for both guys? Like, it doesn't have to be like, one guy over the other. Like, why does it have to be that way? You guys know Jaden Daniels has the same amount of thrown touchdowns as Caleb, right? He has 3. Caleb has 3. Now, granted, I know Caleb has thrown 4 interceptions. Not all of them his fault. Some, yes, but not all. Jaden Daniels has thrown for 897 yards. Caleb, 787. Yes, QBR is much better. And I know Jaden Daniels has been a lot more accurate, but, Washington has better protection up front. It's a little disheartening knowing that I think we have better weapons overall than them, but goes to show maybe Cliff Kingsbury was the offensive coordinator that the Bears were supposed to hire instead of Shane Waldron, who, needed to have a players captain meeting earlier this week, before the Rams game and talk it over with his players, because it seemed like there's been some disconnect, and it's very clear that everyone hasn't been on the same page. So, but going back to the debate, Daniels versus Caleb Williams, like, can we stop, guys? Like, come on. Like, do we have to go there? Like, I mean, the Bears are going to play the Commanders in a couple weeks here. Like, let's do it that week, like a couple weeks ahead. I believe the Bears play the Commanders week 6, week 7. Right after the Bears come back from London against the Jaguars. So week 7, yeah. They go to Washington to play the Commanders, a place where the Bears, have played tough before. The Bears have won in D.C. before. It can be done. It's a team effort, and I'm sorry, I would take the Bears defense over Washington's defensive unit any day. Again, the Bears really still haven't fully shown any of us a full game. A start to finish, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter game. It's been sloppy from the start, and then they kind of have to claw their way back, lean on the defense for, a sack fumble or an interception here or there. Like, I want all units firing on all cylinders here. And until we see that, I really don't know what this Bears team is or what their identity is. Does it feel good to be 2-2? Absolutely. Is the sky falling as much as we all thought it was leading into this Rams game? No, it's not. We can take a little bit of a breather knowing we got the Panthers coming up, a Jaguars team that is lost, and not really sure what we're going to see from them. Of course, the game's in London, so it could be a total trap game. We have no idea. But overall, the schedule here, it favors the Bears. Like, this is where they have to figure it out. This is where they have to figure this out. And they got to build a little momentum here heading into week 5 against Carolina. Let's talk about the ugly things that I saw, and there are plenty of uglies. Number 1, the penalties are still a major concern. Like, every year, the Bears are beating themselves with penalties. 10 penalties for 84 yards. I mean, it's really hard to win games in this league when your offense is going backwards, when you start drives, 1st and 25. You come out of a timeout and Cole Kmet is moving on the line before Caleb snaps the ball. It seemed like the Bears were finally getting into like a little bit of a rhythm. They had some forward momentum kind of like plays, and then Kmet jumps off. Kmet has had a couple false start penalties. I don't really understand what's going on there. And then this is the 4th consecutive week that the offensive line finds its way onto the ugly list, and I don't know how they're going to find their way off of the ugly list. Yes, DeAndre Swift had a good game, but again, the Rams are a bottom 5 defense in the league. They again just spent a lot of energy trying to come back and beat the Niners the previous week. I mean, Caleb took some bad sacks. Caleb was strip sacked on one of them. Braxton Jones does not look like the left tackle of the future. I'm sorry. The way that number 70 is playing right now, Bears clearly need an upgrade at left tackle for next year. I mean, that's, in my opinion, over the center, the most important position on the line is the left tackle, is a quarterback's blind side. And number 70 was getting dominated by rookie Jared Verse all day on Sunday. Not great. Tevin Jenkins was removed from the game with a rib injury. Also not great, considering Tevin, was supposed to be the Bears' best offensive lineman. And you want to talk about a guy that, heading into the season was up for consideration of a contract extension. 76 has not played up to expectations, in my opinion. And I'm kind of glad that Ryan Poles held off paying Tevin Jenkins because, again, the guy can't stay on the field, and he hasn't been consistent at all since the beginning of the year. Coleman Shelton's still getting overmatched every game. Nate Davis is essentially having to be forced into action. Although it seems like he's better. I think he got back from his trip from the zoo or the circus or wherever the hell he's been, missing practices, missing training camp. It seems like he's finally, with it now. I mean, he's still a liability, 64 and 65 on every play. And I think really the biggest disappointment, and I know from what I'm reading, it seems like he's like nursing a little bit of a back injury, but it's concerning because he was a top 10 pick last year, is Darnell Wright. 58 has regressed significantly from the tape that I've watched from last year to this year. He's had some really lazy pass pro sets. He's not getting off the ball fast enough. He's still really physical, but we need better from 58. We need better from that whole unit, guys. And it's such a shame because I know all of us were so looking forward to watching this offense explode and be this offense we haven't seen since Brandon Marshall, Matt Forte, Alshon Jeffrey, Greg Olson. We haven't seen an offense, like an explosive offense like that in over 10 years in this city. And it sure seemed like we were going to see something resemble that this year. And it's been the farthest from the truth. I still don't think the Bears even know what their identity is. Yeah, they were able to run the ball a little bit better, but this offensive line, man, it's been brutal. It's been absolutely killing me. And I know that they have some good opponents coming up. What are we gonna do, guys, when we start playing these division games against the undefeated Minnesota Vikings? Detroit. Look what they did last night against the Seattle Seahawks, an undefeated Seattle team coming into Detroit there. The Bears got to figure this out. We have a really good moment in time right now for this team to figure it out and get back to the lab and figure out what's going to work and what's not and how do we adjust and go from there. It seems like the team has done a decent job adjusting at halftime, but they need to have a better game plan going into all these games, man. I want to see the Bears get out to a 2-touchdown lead. We have the roster to do that, but we keep shooting ourselves in the foot. These penalties, the offensive line, we have a top 10 defense. It shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this hard. That Bears team should have beat the Rams by 2 touchdowns. Like how they finished the game from where they started. Like that should have been a more decisive win. And it again, I'm going to keep saying it. Like this is the time to do it. You have games coming up against the Panthers, the Patriots, the Jaguars, the Cardinals. Like now is the time, guys. Now is the time to strike because it's only going to get more and more difficult coming up. So keep that in mind. Some tweets that blew my mind, and I'm sure some of you guys have seen some of these, but the first one that hits home, and I think we all should be pretty proud about, despite no matter what his stat line is, and no matter what you think about Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams becomes the first rookie quarterback overall in the NFL draft era to win each of his first 2 career home starts in the common draft era. So I think that's pretty cool. And speaking of Caleb Williams, in the first 6 quarters of play, Caleb Williams went 53 for 93, 486 yards. He had no touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Since then, in his last 6 quarters of play, Caleb's gone 34-48 for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Like, it's obvious if you're not watching the film, this kid is growing week to week. He's becoming more comfortable, more accurate, and better overall. Speaking of quarterback play, let's go the other way. Matthew Stafford has now thrown 24 interceptions against the Bears. It's the most interceptions against any team he's thrown over the span of his career. Thought that was pretty wild. The Bears defense has allowed 2 touchdown passes all year in 4 games. That includes matches with C.J. Stroud and Stafford. And meanwhile, they have 2 takeaways in 3 of 4 of their games. That's a pretty good resume, in my opinion. And hopefully that defense, hopefully they're able to keep that up. And then lastly, that defense, when they're in that 4-3 personnel, they're allowing 3 yards per play on early downs. That's the best in the NFL. The league average is 4.9. So on early downs, when the Bears are in that 4-3 set, kind of showing that little bit of a cover 2 shell, but not showing too much. Like they're hard to move the ball against. I do think the Bears can improve on their overall rushing defense. The Rams were able to move the ball on the ground, 119 yards total on the ground. The Rams did move the ball better than the Bears, but again, Bears won the turnover. They won turnovers. They almost won time of possession. And again, like they didn't turn the ball over, and they got timely plays from that defense, and they fed into the crowd. And overall, it was the first time all year I think we all can truly say it was like a team effort. It was a team win, but I still need to see more. It was a good win. I think we were able to, again, breathe a little bit more and just kind of take a breath in terms of, okay, we're not 1-3. We're not as bad as people think we are, but we still have work to do. And we're not where we want to be, but maybe this is exactly where we're supposed to be. And it's all about progress, and it's all about taking things week to week. And heading into week 5 against the Panthers, I just want to let you guys know the Panthers are dead last in total points per game allowed. They let up almost 32 points a game. Like, that's crazy. They're also 28th overall in total yards allowed per game. They're giving up, almost 360 yards total every week. They had a tough game against the Bengals this last Sunday, dropping 34-24 to Joe Burrow and company. The Panthers only have 5 sacks on the year. Like, offensive line, please don't make them look like world beaters. Please don't do that. And again, I'm going to knock on wood here. And, I mentioned it about the Rams being one of those teams that doesn't necessarily play all that well coming to Soldier Field. Like, they have a hard time adjusting. Carolina is 1-6 all time playing at Soldier Field. Like, their last win came in 2014 against Chicago. I'm pretty sure that was the year we lost in the playoffs in the divisional round, if I'm not mistaken. Since 1995, they're 1-6 at Soldier Field. I mean, I just want you guys to think about that. So this is a game that the Bears have to have. And I understand that Carolina has a pulse now with Andy Dalton since benching Bryce Young. That poor kid. Oh, that poor kid. Could be worse. You know, we could be Panthers fans. I know it was a really tough week this last week. And I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm still very concerned. Not just with the offensive line. I still need to see more from Shane Waldron. Like Tyler Scott. How are we ever gonna know that guy's a good receiver if we can't figure out a way to get him the ball? DJ Moore is the king of the drag slant routes. So why are we running like go routes with him? Why are we running like send it routes in the corner of the end zone? I'm not saying he's not good enough, but like DJ Moore is a slippery little bastard. Like, why can't you run a 5-yard little slant route with him and let Caleb just get him the ball in space? That's what he does best. Like, I think the Bears are still trying too hard to figure out like how to run these cute plays, and we're not a cute offense yet. We don't deserve to run lateral screen plays and all these fancy, concepts. Like, just keep it fucking simple, man. Keep it simple. Run north-south. I love that we're getting Roschon Johnson more involved. It's evident that, Roschon is the power back. Very concerning if I'd be a Khalil Herbert fan. Khalil Herbert didn't really see the field at all. Didn't even get a carry. Not really sure what's going on with 24. Certainly seems like the way it's trending, he might not be on the team next year, guys. And it's a shame because I am a Khalil Herbert fan, but Roschon Johnson, 7 carries, 26 yards. Swift, 16 carries, 93 yards and a touchdown. So better. Roschon also had that touchdown on the goal line. The Bears, don't have to get sexy, but one sexy thing I did see them do is put old big Doug Kramer back there at fullback on the goal line. They did it a couple times, so that was cool. I liked seeing that, but we got to get a little bit more. Effective in the passing game, not just lateral plays, but plays in the middle. Like Cole, DJ, and Keenan all had 3 catches. Rome had 1 catch. I don't know who Caleb's go-to guy is. And maybe that's a good thing, in hindsight. Maybe that is a good thing that teams don't know necessarily who is the number 1 guy. But like, come on, like good teams would figure out a way to use that to their advantage, like you don't know who our number 1 guy is. Okay. Well, we're going to keep fooling you. But this is the Bears here. Like, we're not fooling anybody. So good win. I think there are positive things to build off of, but this team still has a long way to go. And I really hope that this Sunday could be that breakout performance that like we all desperately are waiting for. I know it's going to come. I think that breakout performance is going to come kind of like when we're least expecting it. Kind of similar to the Bears game, a couple years ago when Justin Fields, went off against the Patriots on Monday Night Football. Like no one saw that coming. Like I kind of foresee a scenario where that's kind of going to happen this year because this is already such a weird year. Just a weird year around the league. If you want to think about it, I mean, look at our division right now. Like, who thought Minnesota would be undefeated right now? I mean, it's absolutely crazy, And guys, I don't know about you, but the rest of the division looks pretty damn good. I mean, Green Bay even looks good. They almost beat the Vikings. They looked awful, and then they came back from what it looks like. Detroit at home is dangerous. It's tough sledding. So again, this next month of games, this next month and a half of games, like the Bears have to figure out their identity. They have to figure out who they are. They have to figure out what works, what doesn't, and go from there. I want to see more consistent play from all units, even the defense. The defense can improve that running game. We have some good backs coming up that we're facing. This isn't this. I know people still want to consider that this is the easy part of the schedule. Like I don't want to be the team that Chuba Hubbard goes off against, or Travis Etienne, or or Austin Eckler coming up. Like those are the three guys we face next upcoming. So can the Bears build off of this momentum? Can they show more grit, more fight, less penalties, more cohesiveness on the offense, and just ride that defense, man? Because this defense is good, and they're stacked, and they're going to keep us in every game. It's the Bears way, man. It's all my life. Bears always do a good job on defense for the most part. Most years, some years obviously are tougher than others, but they're going to keep us in it, man. It's the Bears way, and if we could just ever figure it out on offense, we got the guys to do it, but this offensive line needs to improve. I need to see better, and I'm hoping that 76, Mr. Jenkins, his injury isn't too severe, because we need him. He is our best interior lineman, and without him, I'm definitely concerned going forward, because this is already such an uphill climb every week, knowing the deficiencies we have up front. And without him, it's only going to get tougher. So, again, this has been the Bare Necessities Podcast. I'm John Prisnowski. Again, appreciate you guys hanging out and listening to the pod. We're going to have Jack back next week. Normal show next week, I promise. And again, please check us out on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you guys listen to your podcasts. Also, check us out on YouTube, and please like, subscribe, engage, ask me questions. I'm going to answer. And also check us out on TikTok. Again, I had 18,000 views. I'm fucking proud of that, man. It's the best video I've ever done. And we're going to keep coming out with more content. I have guests coming up for Green Bay weeks. I have a special surprise for you guys coming up. So, again, appreciate you guys hanging out. Be good, be well, and don't forget to bear down.